Hello and welcome to BUB'S Comics channel. I'm Bub. We're going to do a Record Store Day Drop 2. So Record Store Day was a couple weeks ago, and then they had a second drop date. So because of all the craziness this past year, a lot of records have been postponed until later, and a lot of the releases weren't ready. But in any case, some of those were supposed to be on this list. So every year they put out a list of all the books. Listen to me. So I'm so stuck in comics sometimes. They put a list of all the records that are going to be out, and then they switched them. So they moved a few to this next drop day. So this is the second drop. So glad I could just barely make it. I'll talk about that for a minute and then get into that. First, let's recognize a few people in the chat. We got Las Cruces 1971 was here first. Thank you, sir, and hello. We got the Joey Bag of Sevens with the hip hop hooray, and our favorite ho. Oh no, that's Las Cruces again. All right, from New Mexico, and Joey's from the U.S. Congratulations, Las Cruces, enjoying that. Harry's Zlatos is in the house. Greetings, Bub. Good to have you. Thank you, Harry, for being here, and Jackson Roykirk, of course. Glad you could make it and enjoy this little stream here. Won't stay on too long, probably about an hour or so, and then we'll wrap it up. So if that. So we'll see what I got for Record Store Day, the second round of it. Very glad I was able to get out and do this. So I overextended myself. I went crazy. On my dates. This year, we had a lot of stuff going on personally with the house. We were expanding, making more room in the house, right? Adding to the house. So I took a lot of days off back in the beginning of the year to see the project finished. And so that didn't leave me with a lot of vacation time for the rest of the year. So my feeling was I was going to pack as much into each weekend as I could all through the summer, and little day trips and stuff like that, and tickets to shows and things like that. So the point was, on Saturday, I was triple booked. Saturday morning, I was supposed to be at a comic convention at 10 o'clock Central, Eastern, and I'm on Central Time, whatever. So let's just say about 10 o'clock, I was supposed to be at a comic convention in the morning. I was meeting with my good buddy Jambo Comics. We were going to go check out the show. Then it was also Record Store Day, so I wanted to stop at a record shop, but there was one that was in Frankfurt. There was one in Lexington, which is about 40 minutes east. So I wanted to do that. And then of the evening, there was a music festival that my wife and I were going to go to all evening. And in the end, it was going to culminate with Blues Travelers as the headlining act. So I had tickets to that already bought. So I had tickets to that bought, tickets to the convention bought, and I had to squeeze in Record Store somewhere in there. So there were a couple of records I was going after. I'll get into that in a minute. Let's say first hello to Christina Payne. Hello, Christina. Good to have you here. Chris Barrett's in the chat as well. A little late stream for Sunday. Yes, it is. But, you know, for the vinyl stuff, yeah, I'll catch the people up late for that. So that's kind of the idea. Mark the Cuddy Sark is here as well. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, he says, yeah, I'm missing my beauty rest, but you're sweet, Jackson. You're a good fella. You're a good egg. I don't care what that fella Bill says about you. I don't have to work. I got to work Monday. So yeah, it was going to be that's all just one day. So that was all going to be one day. Pretty busy. Hey, Brett, good to see you. And Choice Tunage. Hey, glad to have you on the channel. Glad you could make it. Super Saturday. Yeah, man, it was crazy to try and pack all that in. Now, the music festival actually started on Friday. So we had already spent all Friday night at the music festival, starting about 5 o'clock and got off work. And then we hung out there until about 10. So we were there already all night, had a few drinks, was dragging on back in. And then I had this big day planned for the next morning. So my initial thought was I will get up really early and stand in a long line outside the record store and wait for them to open, right? And I'll be one of the only people, maybe first 10 people or so. They had a limited edition pressing of Rolling Stones' Hot Rocks, which is one of their earlier greatest hits albums, double LP set. I was wanting to get that, but I knew there weren't many of them because I think it was only limited to like 2,500, and that was nationwide. So I knew that this little shop in Kentucky probably wasn't going to get very many of them. So I figured if I was among the first 30 or 40 people in the door, I might have a chance. But I was probably going to end up being late to the convention, and I didn't want to, leave my good buddy Jambo out to dry, waiting for me to show up. So I was like, all right, I'll scrap that idea. So I decided not to go in early, which was a good thing, because apparently some people went to this this record store the night before and stayed in line at this shop. So if any of you in the chat have ever done that, stayed in line, or have you ever been to something the night before, not just a few hours early, we're talking like 8 to 9 hours before the event, and stood in line for something, let me know. I've never done that in my life. I've been to something early and a couple of hours early, and I've been lucky enough to be among the first few in line every now and then, but I've never gone the night before and like set up a little tent and a pillow and a sleeping bag and slept on the ground in the middle of the hood to go get a record the next day. But if any of you have, I want to hear that story. Let me know. If you're watching on replay, put that in the chat too. So good stuff. So I wanted to get this Rolling Stones album. I didn't think they'd get too many. I wasn't going to make it. And then I went to the convention, had a great time, bought a lot of books, and had a good time doing that. And then I figured, okay, when that was over, Jambo and I were going to have lunch and a drink. And there's a place inside the convention where there's places you can eat. There's like a little bar inside. And they were shut down for the day, and that never happens. I've been to this convention probably 7 times. It's never been shut down. Anyway, they were shut down doing some crappy-ass taco bar, and we weren't about to do that. So we drove around and found a bar and a barbecue joint and had a good time there. So it was really late. So by the time – then I started the 40-minute drive to the record store. So by the time I did all that, it was like almost 3 o'clock by the time I got to the record store. So it was way later than I wanted to be. So yes, Brett Baldwin used to sleep out for concert tickets in the 70s. Yeah, I remember the box office would have an opening time, and that was way before online, like you could buy tickets online, pre-order and all that crap. So I remember a lot of people used to stand out. Of course, at that time, I was in New York City, so I remember the ticket boxes in Times Square would open up, and there'd be a long-ass line. I mean, long-ass line of people trying to get tickets, and the radio station would be trying to sell or, give away tickets and stuff like that. So I did it for Paul McCartney tickets in Cincinnati in 91. See, now in 91, there was almost internet. There was already calling. You could phone in and buy tickets over the phone at that time. I remember that. By then, you could already buy tickets over the phone. So let's see. Bubs, can you just get to the TNA? All right. Well, all right. Sounds good to me. So, sold out. He sold out in an hour, which was quick at that time. So that's Paul McCartney he's talking about. So, but here's a little twist to the story. When I was at the comic convention, there were a bunch of records. There was a guy who had like 2, comic, I guess, box, or I don't know, it's comic boxes. They were record boxes, but they were like comic boxes, and there were like 2 short boxes about the size of a short box full of records. So I dug through those and I picked out a few. So let me show off what I got there. And that was this first one is Steve Miller Band, Book of Dreams, the picture disc album, which does not sound great. Picture discs at this time, I don't recommend people going out and buying them unless you're just trying to collect them, like I am. So let's see. I was old enough. I was young. Oh, I get you. The rest I got online for was 6 a.m. Yeah, that's about me. So here's the first one. We'll take it out of the little poly bag. So there is Steve Miller Band, Book of Dreams. It's in a little bit rough shape. It's got one little spot in the middle of one of the songs. Doesn't play real well. But other than that, it's in good shape. Certainly pretty enough. And there's side B. It's just the same as side A. So I picked this one up for $12, which I thought was a little pricey considering that the bag looked like it had been soaked in cat piss. You guys know what that's like. But on this album, Steve Miller Band, Book of Dreams, we have on side 1, Threshold, Jet Airliner, which is just the prequel to Jet Airliner. Wintertime, Swingtown, True Fine Love, Wish Upon a Star, Jungle Love, Electro Lux Imbroglio, Sacrifice, The Stake, My Own Space, and Babes in the Wood. So what's funny is that, they have like the Steve Miller Band greatest hits and it has the dates and stuff. Like 3/4 of this album is that album. And then they just swapped out about 4 or 5 songs. So at least half this album is on that album. That's for sure. Let's see. What do we got? Ahmed Steve Miller cover. Yeah. That guy. Yeah, that's right. All right. Harry says, no rare. Surfing with the alien pick. This and all right. That is nice. What we got here? Okay. Nice smile. Thank you. And then, yep. Yeah, 12. Yeah, I thought for sure. But I was like, I've never bought an album at a comic convention, and I thought it would be cool just to have that experience. But what sucked was I had my usual comic case. It's like a briefcase that I carry around with me where I put all my comics. Well, this lacked about maybe a ½ inch of fitting in that case. So I had to carry it outside the case. That sucked. So I don't know how much I'll be trying to plan to buy records at comic conventions in the future, but I definitely wasn't as prepared as I thought I was when that happened. So we'll have to check that out later. So then here's another one. I picked this one up, and I was teasing the guy. I was like, that's $5.99, right? Good morning, Varangian Vigilante. Good to have you. So here is Billy Joel, An Innocent Man. I have to admit, one of my favorite Billy Joel albums, even though it's a little controversial because a lot of people just don't like, doo-wop Billy sounds. But I like Billy Joel. I grew up with him. Being from New York, it's kind of a staple. And so, yeah, Billy Joel, big Billy Joel fan, and come from a long line of them. So, well, at least a few. It says it's still got the hype stickers on it. 10 new songs featuring Tell Her About It, Uptown Girl, Leave a Tender Moment Alone, and Keeping the Faith, all on cassette. Or also on cassette, it says. How about that? You got the Record Factory $5.99. So all that's pretty cool to still have that on there. I noticed that on Discogs, if you guys are on there, I'm not really on there too much. But if it has the hype stickers and the original cellophane, they usually sell for more. So that's like a part of condition. Again, here's the barcode. Says also on cassette. Again, so they're really hyping the idea of it being on cassette as well. So there's your Billy Joel, Innocent Man. There's the back cover. Very neat. And it says, on this album, we have on side 1, Easy Money, An Innocent Man. Let's see. The Longest Time, This Night, Tell Her About It, Uptown Girl, Careless Talk, Christy Lee, Leave a Tender Moment Alone, and Keeping the Faith. So I always like This Night. That's like a Beethoven song. It's Beethoven, piano, and then he sings over it pretty much. I mean, obviously he plays it too, but originally written by. I'll hop on that. See, this is good because when people are in here and they make recommendations, I'll go back through. Like tomorrow, sometime I'll go back through and take notes. So that's cool. All right, good to see you guys. So that we picked that up. This I paid $10 for, and it's in really good condition. And half that LP is singles. Yes, it's very true. This was a hugely popular album, and when I got it for $10, I was like, "That's a win." And the condition, I've played through all these. I try to play them before I show them to you guys, so I can tell you how they sounded. The picture disc sounded terrible as they all do, but I don't really care. I still listen to it. And the Billy Joel sounded the best. That was fantastic. Perfectly clear, no pops, no fizzles, no hisses. It was all just a super clean record. And so I was real appreciative of that. Then he also had this one, which was 52nd Street, Billy Joel, also a classic, great album. Let's see what we got. Varangian Vigilante, going to watch the rest on Rewind. Almost 7 a.m. here. Got to get ready for work. See you guys. Thank you, Varangian Vigilante. He's hailing from Austria, I believe. So thanks for joining. Did you get any Who albums? You'll just have to watch and see. if I've picked up any Who albums. See what I did there? All right. So this is interesting because it has the front here, and on the back, it has not only the track listing, but it also has the entire lyrics for all the songs on the back of an album. I don't know that I've ever seen that. I've seen them often on the inner sleeves, but I've never seen them on the actual back of the album. Ooh, that reminds me. I showed you the Steve Miller Band, but here's the inner sleeve for Innocent Man. I'm sorry I didn't show this before. It has the lyrics, a nice little glamour shot of Billy Joel in his best bowling shirt, and then some more lyrics on the back there. So there you go, Innocent Man by Billy Joel. Like I said, one of my favorite albums of his. But really, I don't think he has a bad album. He has some different albums I'm not as much a fan of, but no bad ones. This, just a plain inner sleeve, nothing doing there. But it did have all the lyrics and songs on the back. So let's read those off real quick. We've got on side 1, Big Shot, Honesty, My Life, Zanzibar, Stiletto. That's kind of an S&M song, so you got to be careful with that one. Rosalinda's Eyes, Half a Mile Away, Until the Night, 52nd Street, and that's it. So, and it also has a nice little interlude that he plays, kind of like the 52nd Street anthem, I would call it, that he peppers in here and there in a couple of the other songs. So it's really nice that he did that. I remember there's another album where he's got like Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, and that interlude plays through a couple of the songs too. Funny story about Rosalinda's Eyes, one of the tracks on this. I was a big fan of this album when I was a kid, and there was a girl in my class named Kathy Vasquez, right? I'm sure she's still alive somewhere out there, right? So this girl was named Kathy Vasquez. So I actually wrote her a poem where I didn't actually write any of the lyrics. I just took the whole lyrics and everywhere that it said Rosalinda's Eyes, I put Kathy Vasquez. It was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. I'm pretty sure she balled it up and threw it away. I don't remember. I think she read it once. She balled it, threw it away. Anyway, it was funny. I didn't even like her that well. I just thought it would be cool to do and see if it worked. All right. It says, Glass House is my earliest Billy Joel memory. That's good. Thank you, Gore. 52nd Street is a great album. It's absolutely fantastic. Play us a song, you piano man. I hear you. Joey Bag says, my favorite, I assume he's talking about 52nd Street. Bub, do you have a favorite rock/band artist? Yes. I would say probably for a singular artist who just has a backup band, I would say Billy Joel. If you're going by a single artist name, and I kind of separate them that way. Because if you could eliminate the rest of his band, even though his Axeman is really good, you could eliminate the rest of that band and it would still be Billy Joel. So I say probably Billy Joel. And Electric Light Orchestra would be my favorite band, but even that can kind of get pared down to just Jeff Lynne. So those are probably my favorites. And then probably if I had one that pulls on my youth a little bit, it'd probably be Dave Matthews Band. That was a good time in my life. So a lot of that. Those would probably be in my top 3. Let's see. We Didn't Start the Fire. That's on a different one. I think Stormfront album, if I'm not mistaken. Cyrano de Bubziak. Yeah, that's right. Except I wasn't hiding no bush. I definitely didn't get there. Yes, Bub. Thank you, Glitter. Good to have you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was young, and I was like, hey, there's no chance she's heard of Billy Joel. I'm the only one that listens to Billy Joel. You know, you think when you're a kid, when you discover something, you're the only one, right? Let's see. Bub's have his night moves to Billy Joel. No, thankfully I didn't. Since his name is actually Rosalinda. Nice. That works. Fave Dave Matthews song. That's tough. Actually, it's on one of his newer albums, and I forget the name of the album. But since you didn't ask that, I don't have to give that, right? But I think it's called If Only, and it's on one of his newer albums, maybe 2 albums back, maybe 3 albums back, and it's called If Only. And that song it just has the right. His voice is a little bit off. It's not. He doesn't have the greatest voice. It's more of a style singer, but the music is just simple and just on point. And I love it. Dave Matthews is from here. Great group. I think he's from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Is that where you're at, Christina Payne? Or is that he moved from there, or he originally, whatever, lived there? I don't know if his parents were missionaries or something. I don't know. I thought he was from South Africa. So let me know. Yeah, Jackson Roy Kirk. Okay. So these are the 3 albums I picked up from the comic convention. Steve Miller Band, Book of Dreams, Billy Joel, Innocent Man, and Billy Joel, 52nd Street. And he had a bunch more. Charlottesville. Okay, that works. Charlottesville, Virginia. All right. I knew that he had lived in South Africa or something, and that's kind of where he picked up some of his music. So from South Africa, yeah. But yeah, Charlottesville. Okay. Who knows? You guys know more than me, I guess. All right. Good to see you guys again. Imperious Flux. I don't know if I shouted you out. Good to have you, brother. Thank you for joining. Okay. So then I finally got from the comic convention after we had a few drinks. I honestly don't remember the ride from Frankfurt to Lexington, but I got there safely, and it certainly made the record digging a little bit more fun, because I was like, hey, this is a great album. Yeah. So I got over there. They had all the new Record Store Day albums right up front in its own bin, so you could pick through those. And they didn't have my first choice, which was the Rolling Stones Hot Rocks reissue on, I think it was going to be on yellow pressing vinyl. And there were already people pre-selling it for like $160. So I was like, there's no way I'm paying that. I was even hesitant to pay the $55 it was going to be if I had got there in time to get it. So I asked the guy how much it was going to be, like how many did he order? He said he had 5 copies. I said, was that the first album that you sold out of? He was like, yeah. I was like, 5 copies. I would have had to been one of the first 5 people there. So that means I would have been there, had to been there since Friday night, hanging out at the store. That wasn't going to happen. So I'm glad I didn't waste my time trying to do anything crazy that morning, getting up and being there like 2-3 hours early. Don't drink and dig, kids. That's about right. Who knows what you'll find. But they had my second choice, and I was super excited to get this one. And this was the one that I thought might be a contender for the prettiest LP in my collection. How much they charge for albums nowadays. Anywhere, if you get them for $20, that's cheap of a new album, a brand new LP. I would say that your average single LP is going to be somewhere around 25 to 30, and your average double LP will be anywhere from 30 to 40. That's what the going rate is right now. It's very high for new vinyl. That's why when it comes to new vinyl records, I stick with collectible items and not just whatever I want to listen to. I always try and make sure it's something collectible. And even 180 gram, when they do the repressings on the thicker vinyls, I don't even count that as collectible, because they'll make another one of those in 5 years. I'm looking for something that has a color or something I can look at and say, yeah, it's pretty. That's why it costs more. Some of those have comics along with them. I think Bowie and Elvis Costello and some others, yeah. And remember the Jethro Tull Thick as a Brick album that had like the newspaper in it and all that had the crazy crap in the newspaper? I've seen a couple of copies of those since I've been out hunting, but they're always really ratty and smell really bad. There was a David Bowie album that I picked up in a record store. I actually didn't buy it, but I looked at it, and it was a gatefold album. When you opened it, the thing reeked of weed. I mean, you probably could have rolled that jacket up, that album jacket, and smoked it. It was so strong. And I assume it's because albums make pretty good stations for preparing your, substances for consumption, if you will. So, people open up album covers and especially the gatefolds and then do their business on it. So crazy stuff. Let's see. I got the Who Sells Out recently, and it was $60. Yes. And I know a lot of people who tried to get that album and couldn't get it, and they were pissed about it because now in the secondary market, it's kind of jumped up again. And they had a re-release on, I think it was on colored vinyl. And so it jumped up. Now, one of the shop I went and got these at, they had a couple of copies of that, but not the colored version, just the regular. But it was a reissue. All right. So here it is. I know it's weird. Ocean's 11 soundtrack. There you go. This was $35, and I didn't really want to pay that, but at that point I knew it was going to be the only record that I picked up that was exclusive to Record Store Day. So I said, okay, I'll do it. It's Record Store Day exclusive. Got the hype sticker on it. Only 2,500 copies being made, and it has red and black cornetto. Is the design of the vinyl, and I could show you what cornetto is. But basically, if you've never, all right, you ever get a cornetto like ice cream cone? So it's a cone and it has like the vanilla ice cream and it has like some stripes of chocolate and kind of like a pinwheel type fashion where it goes out and kind of like spokes. So that if you look at it from the top, not counting the nuts, it's cornetto. That's the cornetto pattern, if you will. So it says cornetto, black and red cornetto roulette wheel pressing. So I was like, yes. Had no idea what it looked like, but that's how it was advertised for Record Store Day. And of course, you can't get a picture of it early because nobody's got one. So it says music from the motion pictures Ocean's 11. And it's a really trippy album. If you love the movie, you would love this. It really walks you through it song by song. A lot of the instrumental stuff that was done. And it's kind of like a New Vegas vibe. It's really cool to me. And I take it through the songs, but they're all kind of like original soundtrack songs. So nothing jumps out. It's got Perry Como, Papa Loves Mambo, so that's in there. And then it also has the Elvis song that was kind of popular for this, A Little Less Conversation, that kind of remix that they had done with that. So and which is really good. So it's fantastic, and it also has the Claire de Lune at the end, which is really good. So this album is great. I absolutely loved it. I love the voiceovers, got like George Clooney and Brad Pitt and stuff talking in it a little bit. It's all kind of a DJ mix. It's so good. It's really fantastic. $35? I don't know, but here is the inner sleeve, and you've got Ocean's 11 here. Them staring at the fountain. A couple of scenes from the movie. And then here's some more. A couple of scenes from the movie and talks a little bit about the production of it. So very cool. But here's the money shot. I hope you guys are ready for this. Probably the best looking album in my collection right now. So look at this. Check that out, you guys. And that's like semi-translucent. The red parts are translucent vinyl and the black is solid. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We'll do a full takeout for you. There it is. Oh, man, I love it. It's the cornet, so that's like the top of an ice cream, right, where they put the fudge stripes. And when it spins, it looks like a roulette wheel going. It is so good, man. I think it's the prettiest record I own now. I say that after every time I go to the store and buy new records. I say it's the new prettiest, but man, this one, I definitely want it. I didn't know what it looked like exactly, but man, that is killer. Super happy with that. I love it. Absolutely love it. So there you go. So that was my big Record Store Day pickup. Paid up for it. You know how that goes. Super happy to have it. It was really good. And the music was fantastic. That was the definite win. Yep. Sick. Cornetto, nice. And Agu, checking it out. Thank you, Agu, for showing your eyes. Let's see. I got the colored vinyl. Heinz baked bean orange and or no red. Okay, fair enough. Let's see. LPs were Gatefold Drug. Wah, wah, wah. Oh man, listen at that. Oh, that was rough. Thank you for that. All right. So at that same store, I went digging through their back, catalog, their used vinyls. And let's see. Okay. Went digging through there and found this one. I was super stoked. I didn't even know that they made a picture disc version of this album. It's one of my favorite albums. And it's Foreigner Head Games. Look at that on picture disc. And it's fantastic. It's every bit as good as you guys remember. Nothing but solid gold on this one. I mean, it's fantastic. It says Foreigner, 40. Could it be 40 years? Oh my gosh, is that possible? See if I can see an original date. 1979. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be 2019. So I guess this came out in 2019. Unbelievable. Thanks, Tat. Appreciate it. Classic cover. Yeah. I mean, 2019. Holy cow. 40 years ago. That's crazy. All right. So here you go. Foreigner, Head Games. Classic album. There's Foreigner for your viewing pleasure. And limited edition picture disc includes Head Games, Dirty White Boy, and Women. Of course it does. It says on that side, it says Dirty White Boy, Love on the Telephone, Women, I'll Get Even With You, 17. And on this side, Head Games, The Modern Day, Blinded by Science, my favorite song on the album, Do What You Like, and Rev on the Red Line. I mean, Foreigner didn't have a bad album. Like, after this, we were like, there's another song I could think of. We went back, and they had like 4 albums in a row that were phenomenal. Just great albums. No bad songs anywhere on there. So, I mean, the best station for herbal supplements is Tommy by the Who. Double gatefold, triple disc album. See, at that point, you're likely to drop something. So you got to be careful on that. Let's see. You're 5 minutes behind the chat. Yeah, maybe so. All right. So here you go. Foreigner, Head Games. Look at that. Now, when I was a kid, I used to think, all right, so you have to get into a kid's mind for a minute, right? So when I was a kid, I used to think, well, why? I guess that is just a picture of a foreign girl, and she's a foreigner. She doesn't know any better, so that's why she's peeing in the urinal, and she thinks that's how she's supposed to do it. Like, so that's what I thought. When I was a kid and I saw this album cover, that in my mind, that's what made sense. That this was a foreign girl who didn't know how to use the American toilet system. No, not ashamed to admit it. I've thought of a few things since then, and she was, of course, like cleaning, trying to get something poor written about her probably off the bathroom wall for a good time call, right? So good stuff. Let's see. Yep. The first 4 LPs were great. I mean, they really are. I mean, just fantastic. Each one of them. I like Mike Jones' work with Spooky Tooth. Don't know that one. We'll have to check that out. Yeah. He's on catch up. Give him a break. And then as I was walking out, I noticed the second, and I went through every inch of this store, through all their LPs. I was there for quite a while, like I think about an hour and a half. Digging. My fingers started hurting from flipping. You guys ever go to a convention or something and your 2 front fingers start hurting from flipping through comics? Well, I had already done that all morning, and then I was doing that through records, which are quite a bit heavier and harder to flip through, and I was flipping through those, and my fingers still hurt from that day later. And as I was leaving, and I said, I'm really glad that I got those 2 Billy Joel albums at the comic convention, because I never see Billy Joel albums in the wild. Like, I go to these record shops, every time there'll be a tab that says Billy Joel, no albums there. They're totally gone. Same thing with ELO. I look for ELO albums, gone. I look for Rolling Stone albums, gone. I go to the Beatles section, and there's like 50 albums there. Old, new, whatever you want. Yeah. Jenny's her number. Yep. Call Jenny. 867-5309. That's right. And this was no different. I went to this shop, ELO section, empty. Rolling Stone section, empty. And Billy Joel section, empty. But as I was leaving, well, right before I paid, actually, I was going back up to the counter with my 2 albums, and I saw a little rack that said latest arrivals. And I was like, hey, that's just like in a comic shop when they have latest arrivals, right? So I go over there, and I dig through, and lo and behold, I found a latest arrival priced reasonably. It was like one of the most reasonable deals I got. And here's Billy Joel's Glass Houses. So somebody up there was saying that was their first Billy Joel remembrance. I think it was Gore Vidal. So there you go. Glass Houses was there, and they only wanted $7.99 for it. So that was an easy buy for me, man. I scooped that up in a heartbeat. There's the back. Billy Joel in his working man attire. Let's see if I can read it. This one is hard to read. Well, let's take a look first at the inner sleeve. And we have here introducing the band. And then here is all his, back stuff. How many Leonard Cohen albums did they have? I tell you what they had a crap ton of, and that's Frank Zappa. I mean, if you're a Zappa head, it's like that's all anyone, Greta Van Fleet and Frank Zappa, you should be the happiest person that ever walked the face of the earth. You can buy those albums all day. Like, that's just what's there. Like, they have a separate section in every rack. They put it all over the place. It's crazy. So, yeah, Billy Joel, Glass Houses. It's got you may be right. Sometimes a fantasy. Whoa. Don't ask me why. It's still rock and roll to me. All for Lena. I don't want to be alone. Sleeping with the television on. Let's see. C'était toi. You were the one. Où c'était toi? Close to the borderline and through the long night. Great stuff. Fantastic album. Just super, super great. Let's see. Billy and the Engineers sat in a car to see how it sounded when they mixed the LP. That's cool. Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. I don't know what that's in reference to. Leonard Cohen albums? I don't know. Maybe. They had Frank Zappa albums. People are still passing up on Zappa. No, I don't think they're passing up on Zappa. I think that people are selling them as fast as they can to the record shops so that they can make money on them, because I guess it's just a big deal, man. People are Frank Zappa heads. I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. Whatever you like. So 3 Billy Joel albums in the same day after having none in my collection other than 45s. So I had no LP. So I was super happy to get that. And then my buddy Jambo told me that there was a secondhand store in the area. And that I should drive to it when I leave this one. He's like, oh, you should go to this other one. They have records and comics and vintage clothing. I'm like, what are you talking about? All right, I'll go check it out. So I put it in my GPS and I'm driving. Thank goodness I was sober by now. So I'm driving to the second record shop, and it's like in the hood. Like, I'm crossing over train tracks and couldn't get to the entrance of the thing. I had to drive around some shady block and find it. It wasn't that bad in the hood, but it was much more in the hood. Like this other record shop, you could tell there was nothing but like 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds shopping there, and all having very awkward conversations with each other, and walking pigeon-toed and shit. I mean, it was a whole different vibe. It's a college town over there, so it was a whole different vibe. And then I go into this other shop, and this was like the hardcore. These were the real, kids of the modern day, the real artistic group. And this was the guys with ripped jeans with patches over them, the 50-year-old guys with that going on. And you had the young people who were in there for the vintage clothing. It was a totally different vibe. Very cool, but very different, and much more like surreal and authentic than the other store was. But both different experiences, both very cool, but very different experiences. They had all 3 things that Bubs likes: comics. I don't know about retro clothes. To my knowledge, I don't get into retro clothing, but who knows? John's here. Oh, I gotta go. Well, I'll stay. All right, John, you can stay if you want. So I went into this store. I didn't have much time. I was already, Jambo knows the hood. Yeah, he must. I was already supposed to be heading back because I got to get to this to this Blues Travelers concert, right? So I got to hurry back, and I got to drive another hour and a half when I get out of there. Sun's starting to set. I'm like, I got to get going. So if it's in the hood, then they have to keep it real. Yeah, it was real. So I went through this shop, and at first it was really small. It was like super tiny, like a little hole in the wall. And I'm kind of looking around and seeing what's in there. And there wasn't much. They had some new record stores, they had some laser discs and some 8 tracks. I was like, this is all really interesting, but where's all the great vinyl? And then I get like to the corner and I look around and there's a tiny little hallway and it opens up to this huge, like freaking Goodwill sized room. And in there was wall to wall vinyls. It was like I couldn't even begin to count how many racks of vinyl they had, but I'd say it was easily 300 or 400 racks of vinyl. I mean, it was insane. It went on forever. Stuff on the wall. It was everywhere. And I went, and then beyond that was a bunch of vintage clothing I didn't even get into. And they had like old component systems and just everything you could. And it was all categorized and all alphabetized, which I totally appreciate because that took some time. So that was cool. So I was going through, but I didn't have much time. So again, I did the usual. I went to the low section, went to the Rolling Stones, and I was popping around trying to find things. And then I saw, and now there's an album I've been kind of looking for every time I go, just because it's one of my favorite albums, but it's not like a hugely popular album. And they had it, and I didn't have one. So I was like, yes. And it was in good condition. So I picked it up. And of course, lo and behold, no price tag on this one. And all the other ones had price tags. They were actually working a little sticker system. So if I had a blue sticker, it was like $2.99, a green sticker, $3.99, whatever, somewhere 99 cents. And then if I had a yellow sticker, they would write the price tag on it. They would write the price on it because it was, price is marked. Well, this was the only one that didn't have a sticker. And I asked them, my first time there, I asked the guy next to me, I'm like, so what do you do when it doesn't have a sticker? He was like, they always have stickers. I'm like, no, this one doesn't. So then we're both like looking at this album trying to find the sticker. Couldn't find it. So I had to walk up to the front and ask them, how much is this? And you hate to do that because it's like getting price checked at the register, right? We talked about that the other day. So I got to go through all this and find out what is, how much is this? Waiting for the guy to say, oh, this is specially marked. I think $22.99. I was waiting for that, but he didn't. He went through it and he said $1.99. I was like, yes. So it's the Edgar Winter Group. They only come out at night. One of the ugliest album I've ever loved. And there's back copy. Obviously, the actual album jacket is in horrific shape. I put it in this sleeve just to protect the record from falling out because the bottom is all split. This is one of those useless gatefolds because it's only one LP, but they give you this extra, go the extra mile. There you go. So very cool. On this album, we have Round and Round, Undercover Man, Hanging Around, Altamira. We All Had a Real Good Time, which is great. That's a fantastic song. When It Comes, Free Ride, which is probably the most famous song on here. Kids would know that from the, what's that, Lightning McQueen movie? I forget, Cars. It's called Cars. And they play that song in that one, so maybe they know that. Rock and Roll Boogie Woogie Blues, which is fantastic. Autumn, which is actually a nice, sweet song. And Frankenstein, which if you have a stereo system at home, you need to own this album just so you can play Frankenstein and listen to it go all the way around your stereo system. It's just fantastic. It's an amazingly composed, beautifully executed, just rock marvel. You want to talk about some real arena rock, just awesomeness. Frankenstein by Edgar Winter Group. Top of my choice. Right there. That's the song you need. You need to own this album. If you have a good hi-fi system or anything like that at home, you need to own this album. And of course, the actual, God, look at that. Look at how messed up that is. So the actual inner sleeve is toast. And when I say toast, I mean toast. So I went ahead and ordered some new bags, some new inner sleeves, and actually a couple of outer jackets because I'm missing a few. Went ahead and ordered some of those on Amazon. So those will be coming in the next week. I'll do some reviews on those, see how I like them. But I'm going to go through my collection and replace all those ratty old inner sleeves that are just scratching and leaving crap all over the records. I pull a record out of there and it has more dust on it than it did when I put it in there because it's picking up all the crap off this old paper from like 1978, right? It's picking up all this crap. So that's all the records I got. So you guys can fuss about that. Let's see where we're at in the chat. the artist formerly known as King John Free. Oh, we're talking about John's Comic with Kids. Okay. Let's see. So I lost track. Hey, man, it was rough. It was definitely rough. I had a hard time. Oh, yeah. He was talking about how is John Popper doing health-wise? Well, he used to be like 400 pounds or more. I think that could be fake news, but as I recall, as a kid, he was like 400 pounds. He had all heart problems or something, and the doctor. He looked great. He looked normal, like a normal sized dude. He wasn't super thin or anything, but he was like normal. Like nobody would ever look at him and say, "Oh, he's morbidly obese." He was totally normal. Played great. It was thunderstorms all night, so they said if we see lightning, we're gonna cut it off. So lightning never showed up. Plenty of rain though, in and out. So sometimes we were soaked, but the rain run off the wussies real fast. As soon as the first couple of drops, man, it was an exodus of people. And so I was probably, 100 feet from the stage and sitting in a lawn chair, just chilling, man, because it was a field concert. It was a festival. So it was absolutely fantastic. Great show. It's called the Master Musicians Festival in Somerset, Kentucky, and they blew it out of the water and really showed that they were master musicians. I mean, when it came down to it, absolutely phenomenal group. And it's so funny, when those albums came out, I was living in New York City, walking up and down the street, listening to the Blues Travelers. I would have never guessed that over 20 years later or whatever, I'd be sitting in a lawn chair in the middle of Kentucky watching them play that close. And they were fantastic. Just absolutely great. Let's see. Kudos to Edgar for breaking barriers. Yeah, I don't know what barriers he broke, but some of it need to stay behind there. Lame. Gatefold should be illegal on single albums. I agree, unless they're really cool. Like I've got an ELO album, a newer album that's a single LP and came in a gatefold, and I'm like, hey, he took the extra mile, gave us some extra artwork. I didn't get any REO Speedwagon, but as a side note, I haven't bought the tickets yet, but I'll be buying them next week, pending a financial approval. So we're going to go to an REO Speedwagon concert at the end of August. And actually, Foreigner just announced they're coming to town in November. So I'm going to pick up the tickets to REO Speedwagon. Then as soon as that's done, I'll pick up the tickets to Foreigner. So we'll get to see both those bands by the end of the summer. Well, Foreigners by the end of the year anyway. I did not get any Britney, but I have to say sometimes I'm tempted to pick up a couple of – they have some picture vinyls of Britney and some colored vinyls, and I thought about that. Yeah, they released all the Britney stuff on vinyl. You can go to Walmart right now and pick up a bunch of them. Britney hater. So there you go. All right. That was my haul. I'll go through them real quick one more time, where I got them and how I got them. This was the Comic Shop, Book of Dreams by Steve Miller Band picture disc. Not Comic Shop, but the Comic Convention. Then we picked up Billy Joel's An Innocent Man as well. We picked up Billy Joel 52nd Street. That was all at the Comic Convention. Never bought one at a Comic Convention before. Never bought a record, so that's super cool. And then when I got to the record shop proper, picked up Ocean's 11 soundtrack with the contender for the prettiest vinyl in my collection. It's going to be a close one, but I think this one may have it. Absolutely gorgeous. And when it spins that roulette red and black, oh, it's beautiful. And the whole vibe, I'm going to listen to this as soon as the stream's over. Again, absolutely loved it. Then we got Foreigner picture disc. Very cool. Couldn't believe that. I'm going to be putting these in some new album jackets, and I'm going to custom cut a hole in the jacket so that it will hold it, and you'll still be able to see the picture disc. That tutorial to come. And then we have the last one from the record store proper, Glass Houses by Billy Joel. And then the last one in the haul was at that vintage shop, picked up They Only Come Out at Night by the Edgar Winter Group. So that's it. That's my haul for new record for Record Store Day. Of course, only one actual limited edition one from the Record Store Day releases, but at least I got one. And for as late as I got there, it was definitely a win. So thank you all for joining. Missed out on the DGs. So the Foo Fighters put out a an homage album, if you will, to the Bee Gees under their moniker DGs, which is the Foo Fighters. I assume it's for Dave Grohl. So DGs. And so they put out their album for that. And a buddy of mine was actually, my wife's cousin was after that same one. Couldn't get it either. I guess those were some of the fastest ones to sell out. Thank you, Glitter and Duct Tape. Feel like going record shopping now. Yep. Good luck with that. Let's see. Dual purpose. Yeah, we were talking about that. Yes. Yeah, that's true. They released it on vinyl. Didn't get the Pearl Jam Alive vinyl and tape. But, oh, nice. You did get them. Okay, good deal. Very nice. Thank you, Simon R. Appreciate that. Thank you, Christina. All right, there we go. A little under an hour. Thanks so much. And we'll catch you next time on Bub's Comics. Remember to, what did we say we were going to do last time? Remember to listen to a record and don't apologize for, I don't know. Don't apologize for the glare. We're still going to do glare. They're going to be in Mylars. All right. See you later, guys. Thanks so much. All right. Bye-bye.